let's take a quick look at what comes in a life skills lesson. So I just opened a Word document here, which is the first lesson document for you and all the volunteers who run the program. Of course, you get more than just this. You get screen graphics and everything, but this is just a quick look at a given lesson. So you get these digitally, which means you can edit them, at any time, or you can print them at any time, or you can email them to your volunteers. You're allowed to do all of that. You are in control. That's what we believe, because you know your kids best. So first of all, this lesson guide is for the presenters, for the directors who run the children's ministry, and of course for the media team, because it has handy things in there for the media team to follow along, so they know when to cue what and all this kind of stuff. Now you might say, I don't have a media team, and that is totally fine as well. It works without media as well. We've done the church plants where suddenly the power would go out and the children's ministry program was in a lot of trouble because it relied on media so much. Well, we wrote the lessons in such a way that you can keep going even when the media cannot continue. But of course, we do encourage you to use the media because it's really, really cool for the kids. So first of all, it starts off about what's unique about this series. I'm going to make the text a little smaller here, zoom out a little bit so you can see. Actually, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. There you go. Well, it's about life skills, so it's about skills that kids can use for their entire life, which makes it relates to kids' life, of course. And this series of life skills is about money management. It has all the things from the book of Proverbs, from Solomon, all his tips on wise investing and using what God has given you. How amazing would it be to teach kids those? And what's also cool about this series is that kids have to unlock the teaching. You don't just, give kids the teaching and they're just going to have to absorb it. Instead, they're going to have to unlock each teaching segment, which makes it very fun and desired for kids, because now the teaching is a reward, and they feel rewarded when they get taught. So every lesson of every series that we have also always has a to inspire you at the beginning, which it helps your volunteers to feel inspired about this lesson. We can have the most wonderful lesson, but if a volunteer feels a little bit down, it's not going to come across. So we always have something that reminds them of the worth of this lesson and why it matters so much. And we hear from a lot of children's ministries that they love that. So then we come to the lesson overview, basically. Here you see all the 6 lessons in the series. And then to the right is a little bit about the goal of this lesson. And you'll see that with every lesson, you see the goals of the entire series and the goals of the lesson within. We did that because sometimes you have multiple teams and each team works at a different week, for instance. And you want the team of week 2 to know kind of what the team of week 1 did, so that they can continue on in the same purpose rather than not know what happened the week before. Then we hit the lesson schedule. As you can see, it's fully editable as well, so you can completely remove certain segments if you want, or add certain segments. On this right side here is a column for your audio and visual team. If you have a volunteer who does that, who cues the videos or goes along with the slides, it shows what every segment has, and if it's audio or visual. So for them, it's really handy. Also, it says the mood of every section, which we'll get into later. And of course, the name of the segments and about the average length it could take. Now, you can make it shorter, longer, whatever you want. And then obviously a description of what would happen in that segment. Now, it has a little half a page of what to prepare before the service, so that you know what to get ready. Really simple, really easy. And then it starts with for the presenter. Anything after this title is, the actual program, going on. So you see the first is the welcome right here, and the mood is mentioned right here. And the mood of the welcome is captivating. Now, it says here, it's advised to keep this segment calm so that you can slowly build the energy over the course of the program. A lot of children's ministries, they want to start with a bang. They want to start loud and wild. And sure, the kids will like it, but after that, you've got nowhere to grow to. The energy can only go down. You get tired, for instance, and you can't always keep the kids hyped all the time. you know. And so it is actually better to start very captivating but calm, and then slowly build the energy from there. And you'll see that this whole phenomenon of losing the kids' attention halfway disappears with that little change. And so all our lessons are written with very intentional programming, also on the feel and the mood. So here the mood is captivating. It gives you some things to say to welcome the kids. I won't go in detail over it because I want to keep this video short. Also, at the end here, you see at the end of any segment, you'll see a link in case you want to have more inspiration for that segment. So if you want to know more ideas on how to welcome kids, how to make them feel welcome, you just click that link or you type it in, and you see a video with us training you on how to do this segment. And you'll see here, for instance, the worship segment. You'll see a link at the bottom as well on how do you train a worship team and stuff like that, And so we have that with all our series. Just extra little inspirational stuff for you that you don't have to look at, but you can if you want to be inspired. And so we have the worship segment, then we start off with the game. And you see here the feel is a little bit more energetic already. And so you see the materials that are needed here on the right. And we always write our lessons in such a way that you need as few items as possible while still having a really big impact. It is not true that you'll need a ton of materials in order to have a fun children's ministry. It's actually much, much better to do a lot with a little. And if that feels to you like you could not have a lot of impact or you could not have a lot of fun, we challenge you to try it. Because we have done the children's ministry lessons where you basically had to buy a whole store full of items and coordinate different cars and stuff to get everything there. And your storage just bloats up and you have to throw things away every year and do a massive cleaning. All that time you could use, hanging out with the parents and hanging out with the kids. And so it is really a myth that you need big things to have a big impact. What really much more about is the writing of the series that keeps it super interesting at all times, regardless of what's in your hands or what's on your stage. But of course you can always add to it if you want. Our lessons are tested from 8 kids to 3,000 kids at one time in a room, and it's worked, so it will scale with you. And of course when you have 3,000 kids, the stage, you want it to look big, whereas if you have 8 kids, you want it to look more intimate. And that's all possible with our series. So you have the game here. Let's scroll through that because you can read it for yourself what this game would be. I'm just giving you an overview. And once again, there's some training. And on this one, it is how do you help kids to know the message behind the game. Because we waste no time for just fun without meaning. All of our segments have a meaning behind it, even the fun ones. So any game you'll play with the kids has a hidden meaning, and you reveal that here at the end. All games are basically, in a sense, parables or object lessons, if you want to call it that. And so you only have kids for an hour a week or so, maybe 2 hours tops. So why waste any time for just fun without meaning? We make the meaningful segments fun and the fun segments meaningful. And so here's the next segment called Unlock the Message. Kids have to unlock the teaching that is embedded in that segment. It only takes 10 to 12 minutes because it's a short teaching bit, and there will be 3 of them. And so you want to keep it short, and we call it rapid fire, And so kids will play a little game to unlock a riddle, and the riddles then lead to the teaching. And so it's a lot of fun. And once they have it unlocked, you have a little segment that you're teaching, which is right here. Now we're going to Have You Ever, which is a really fun, energetic little upbeat segment in between. The kids kind of be loose and have fun. And you ask them 10 questions. Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? And then kids have to stand or sit down if it's yes or no. And boom, we go on to the second teaching part that kids have to unlock, and they have to work together to unlock it. And you then teach it real quick, and it's another 10 to 12 minute segment right here. So it keeps it really lively and fun. After that, we go to wise words, which is the Bible verse, and kids have to work to unlock or actually find the Bible verse in this segment, and it's a lot of fun. And they learn the Bible verse of this lesson. And boom, we go to unlock the final message, because there's 3 every lesson. And every lesson of this series, each one of them will be done differently. So sometimes they have to unlock like a number code. Sometimes they have to pop balloons with mysterious codes in there and stuff like that. Every lesson is different in this amazing series called Life Skills. So they unlock the final message, and this one also includes short small groups. So if you like for kids to be in small groups, either with a leader or they can lead it themselves, if you have some older kids who can help. We always support both leader-led small groups, and we support child-led small groups as well, which is entirely possible. You know, when you see it, it's absolutely amazing to see kids leading kids. And so this is the final teaching segment, right? And once kids have unlocked it and done their little small group part, they come back together. And then for the final segment called Boss Man is Here. Boss Man is a fictional character in a video. So what the kids really do is they, by unlocking the 3 teaching bits, they unlocked this video as a reward. And it's a really funny video, but it also teaches at the same time. And they will then see how this Bossman character applies the lesson or does not apply the lesson with the consequences within. And then you always end with the winners of the game, because the winners of the lesson, because kids can be divided in teams and you have them kind of compete against each other all throughout. So you want to tell who the winners are, and you want to pray at the end. And of course, there is at the bottom some more training where it will lead you to how to do the prayer thing. In this example, I just have to put it in before we publish it, but it will be right here. And so that's it. Now, it seems like a very simple lesson structure. In a sense it is, but time flies. So you want to keep every segment short, which at first may be a bit counter-natural, but keep that shotgun, that rapid fire approach, and kids will be engaged the whole time. Once again, here you see the entire thing. We've counted it 68 to 90 minutes, but if you go a little bit more lenient, you can make it longer. You can also scratch out segments and make it shorter, because you are in charge with any Kids Want Answers series. Now, finally, as you may know from Kids Want Answers, we make the lesson flow a little bit different per series. We don't make it too different, because otherwise your volunteers will have to relearn every time. But we don't keep it too much the same either, because sometimes, have you ever bought like a year of curriculum and after a month the kids are bored with it? It's because they can already know, they can dream the lesson structure. So you want to keep it twisting it a little bit, and it's actually also really good for the volunteers, because they won't fall asleep either. They will go through the lesson and go, okay, how is this series a little bit different than the previous one? So it's a discovery for both the volunteers and the kids, and it keeps it fun. Now, finally, we make sure that each teaching segment can be done by kids as well as you train them. We've done so. You want to sometimes give 1 or 2 segments away to kids and have them teach kids. And that's entirely possible with this series as well. Should your ministry be ready for that? If not, don't worry, it will come in time. God bless you, and have an incredible time teaching kids life skills straight from the Bible, so that they'll know once and for all that the Bible is an incredibly practical book that teaches kids life skills for life.